Why, hello everybody, it's Robbie from Southern California. Wanted to do a little update today. It's raining. I can't believe it. We're cloudy and we're getting rain off and on. I've been starting to think about my deck garden for the winter, and I've been cleaning it up a little bit because I want to get as much food as possible. Being on the deck, as long as it doesn't get freezing, I still should be able to get food. So I've been slowly cleaning it up and stringing up some of the tomatoes. We did lose a tomato down there. I don't know if I want to talk about that. That was a big, beautiful tomato plant that was going up here on this stake. And Kitty decided to chew it in half because she thought she saw a rat in it. Yes, we've got a rat that comes up on the deck periodically, but she decided that that wasn't supposed to be there. I took a bunch of cuttings. I put it back in there. We'll see if it makes it. But we'll see. Naughty dog. There's my watermelon, and that is ready to come off. See here? I don't know if you can see that, but the curly Q on it, it's actually on the other side. There's another one. Is completely dry. It's completely brown, and it's been brown for close to a week now. I'm waiting because we're having a birthday party for my granddaughter, and I might have her cut it off, or we'll cut it off for the party. So it's been sitting there, and it's hopefully getting riper, so it should be okay. It is the only watermelon that this little vine produced. It wasn't even something I had really planned on. Kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing of buying a watermelon plant and sticking it in there, and I was surprised it took off. It's actually growing in here right next to this compost in place. See where got an opening, and I've got a little plant in there. I water it, I compost in there, and it's been feeding. It feeds the watermelon plant, which wound around and ended up with only one watermelon. So there wasn't either a lot of bees, or for some reason they didn't pollinate, but that one did. So we'll see what happens with that. So I've been cleaning up. I still have to get the zucchini off that's over here. I have not removed it yet because I don't want it to harden up. Once you remove it, the skin gets really hard and the seeds get really hard. And I want to still keep it a little soft so it's easy to peel and cut up and do what I want with it. I'm not sure if I'm going to make a chocolate cake out of it, or if I'm just going to saute it in a little butter or something. Not sure yet. So that's why I haven't taken it off. But everything all in all is doing okay. It was interesting that the Brad's atomic tomatoes were the only ones that seemed to get attacked by hornworms. The Orioles would come down and they didn't really pick that many off, or there was too many and maybe they couldn't get them all. Plus the adult are now gone. The adult Orioles are gone. Haven't seen a single one. There's still a bunch of young ones around, so whether they're going to winter here, I don't know. We'll just see, but maybe they'll move on too, because they move out usually for the winter and come back first of spring. So we'll see what happens with that. But the other tomato plants, which was interesting, I never found any hornworms on them. Just this one, just the Brad's. All in all, the Brad's did great. I have not collected any seeds. I may, but again, the Brad's is a developed tomato plant. So I could collect the seeds. I would grow tomatoes, but it would not necessarily be the same variety as I'm growing now, because it could cross-pollinate. It could have. The other thing is, it is a developed one, and he knows exactly, or they know exactly how to cross-pollinate it to get that particular tomato. But that is not to say that I could end up with something even better. These were great. The flavor is so good on them. They don't have a strong bite to them at all, that some of them have very acidic taste to it. They did not. Gary loves them. They're still developing more and more. They're still throwing flowers and developing more. And we'll see how it winters. It'll be interesting as long as no dogs chew. Oh, no, they can't. They can't get to it because it's up high. So we'll see how it goes, and maybe I will take some cuttings. We're trying something different, which I will talk about a little bit later on one of my garden tours. We don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to experiment. But I might take some cuttings and try to keep the cuttings alive for the winter into the spring and then replant them. And if that works, I have the same plant, because what I'll be doing is cloning them. The Brad's has gone all the way from the first container, and it's, as you can see, all across the poles that I put together, and it's all the way up there. So it's doing really good. The other tomatoes, this is just a tomato. I threw in there, squeezed some seeds in there, and they grew, and I never took them out, never moved them. I should have, and so it's growing, and I'll see what happens for the winter, since I really don't want to plant more tomatoes in the ground right now, as we are going into winter, and I have no idea what our winter or spring is going to be. Now this one I can move somewhere. This is in this pot, which is you've seen the compost in place, but look what this did. It left the pot. It's a big, beautiful tomato. It really needs its own pot. I do plan on doing that. Let's see what's underneath. Oh my God. Oh, he's disappearing quick. Look at the earthworms. Isn't that cool? It did send its roots out there. Plus, I think the squash plant is sending its roots in there too, underneath, to collect the nutrients coming out of this compost bin, which I could take now, this little compost bin, and dump it into any new flower pot, new container that I want to grow something in. But for now, I'll leave it. I continue to throw things in. As you can see, I've been cleaning, and I put some leaves in there. And then when I water the tomato plant, which is doing great, now that the roots have touched in there, look how this little thing took off. And this is now feeding this. I do see a lot of teeny seedlings coming up in there, which is probably the lettuce that's there. I've been trying to figure out how much of the lettuce, this is lettuce back here, I'm going to take off. I want to save some of the seeds. So we'll see how it goes, but I've been trimming. We'll see if this squash makes it. See the trimmings? And I've got a place I'm putting the trimmings. I've got a new thing I'm doing, a new garden. So we'll see that later on, maybe in the next few weeks. And then, of course, I found some walking onions on the deck, and I'm going to get these planted. Let's see what else is going on. You've seen that. So everything, all in all, is going really good. I never really did much with all of these. Oh, let me show you over here. Let me back up. I did take a moringa that was in one of those cardboard milk containers or something I had, and I stuck it in here, container and all, but the container was falling apart. And look how beautiful. This moringa is going to be moved into the house as soon as the weather gets cold. We're going to move this in because I want to see if I can get this thing to survive all winter in the house. This is massive and gorgeous. This is just purslane. I must have dropped some seeds in here, and the purslane is just taking off and growing as a ground cover on that. That's fine. I didn't realize that a purslane seed that's black is full of a bunch of seeds. So one seed is just packed with dozens and dozens of seeds, and that's what happened. Let's see, what else is exciting? Oh, here. I looked. There's one left here. I don't know if you can see it by my finger. I'll show you. I've got a video of it. A swallowtail came a couple days ago. She looked through all my plants, and she laid some eggs. Now, I do see the hummingbirds go through all these plants, and what they do is, again, they eat little insects, and yes, they do eat eggs. So, hopefully I can do a story on this. We have been, I shouldn't say we, I have been putting up tulle. And I've got eggs down here that I am protecting from the hummingbirds as well as kitty. So I will get in there and I will show you the eggs, but they're down here. I don't know if they'll survive and make it, but we'll see. But I did see that one of them did come through here, and one did survive. Isn't that beautiful? You want to see something? This little thing's got horns. Watch. No, he's not going to put his horns up. He's not afraid of me. Okay, don't put your horns up. He's got horns. So we're keeping him covered right now, and hopefully no bird will come along and eat him. He's too big right now for a hummingbird to eat. Look how big he got. He has reached that size in 3 days. They double. Every day they double. He will be double the size tomorrow. So I'm going to fix this up a little better. He's probably going to manage to eat up all my dill. I have found that the swallowtails prefer dill. Their second choice is parsley. So if they can't find dill, they go on parsley. And dill's kind of out of season right now. Most of it bolted, and when it bolts, it doesn't have a lot of leaves on it. So then they look for the parsley, but then again, a lot of my parsley bolted too. But all in all, everything's doing good. I was going to clear all this out. I want to save a lot of the lettuce seeds. Some of these are probably well eaten by the goldfinches. But now I've got tomatillos growing like mad. So I may freshen this up and let the tomatillos do its thing. This is where I found the walking onions this morning. Oh, they're still walking. Look at that. That's walking onions starting to walk. which is really good. So I might freshen that up. See, that's what I did with the moringa. It was in one of these cardboard containers, and it was looking like that, kind of sad, and all I did was take the whole container, place it in one of those floral pots I've got. You can use any flower pot. Left it in there. I did not take it out, but I tore it down, the cardboard. See how it's going to tear easily? Tore it down, planted it, and it took off. It just took off. So that one's going to get planted too. And that's about it. And then this is the old celery I trimmed down. As you can see, I've got beautiful celery. So you don't have to give up on all your celery. Even this one, I can finish trimming this down. I've left it for the birds to deal with. They've been eating the seeds. The hummingbirds like sitting in it. So for now, I've left it. But see what happens when you cut down the celery? It just keeps going. A lot of it. Not always, but a lot of it. I've got beans coming up everywhere. I've been pushing beans everywhere. I still have cucumbers, malabar spinach. Oh my gosh. I love this. Look at this. It's still growing its seeds, its berries. I cannot wait to share with you what I'm doing with those, but this is fantastic, and we have been eating the leaves. I tend to pick the leaves, and I eat them raw, and I do add them into a salad. Oh, there's another cucumber back here. Look at that. Good, because I picked one. I want to make pickles. Here's my popolo. Very late in the season this year. Need to direct my popolo out. The popolo needs to come out into the sun, so I'm going to have to redirect that. I really haven't done anything as far as freshening this all up. This is apple trees. I still want to figure out what I want to do, but this is my garlic chives, and look at that. I'm going to have tons of seeds, and I'm going to be throwing them everywhere. This is parsley back here. See, parsley has gone to seed. So as far as the butterflies, they have a hard time laying their eggs in parsley right now. I am collecting a lot of the seeds because I do want to grow more parsley. And I'll be honest, I completely forgot that I do like to grow a lot of parsley for the butterflies. And this year I didn't grow that much parsley. I was doing other things. So I want to get more parsley growing because that is one of the butterflies' favorite things. All in all, I think everything's doing really good. I've got a lot of Swiss chard and onions, and this is the purslane, which is really interesting on the seeds. Now, see, there's a seed back here. Let's see if I can, oh, see what happens? This is what I didn't know. Okay, I don't know if I can show you. I'm going to drop it in there. See, I pick out a little pod that looks like that, but now it's fallen in between my hands. There, see how tiny the seeds are? I didn't realize I must have dropped a couple over there with the moringa, and I ended up with a whole bottom full of purslane. So one little pod, one little seed is loaded with like 100 little seeds, 50, 100, it depends on how big the pod is. It's amazing. All in all, that's it. Let's walk over here. I'm still working on this. This is where I planted my onions last year. I don't know if I'll take this apart because I've got tomatoes now that are just starting to take off. And the plant looks so good, and it's going to catch the warmth off the wall. So I may leave that and set up onions in another container. This is just an old oregano plant, and I just leave it the way it is. This is lettuce seed, but it's actually not planted. It's just stuck in there because I left it for the birds because I trimmed it down. And I'm going to collect some of the lettuce seed. And then garlic chives. See, we still have tomatoes growing here, full of tomatoes. And then chocolate mint. There's another moringa down there growing. I put it in a pot. The other one's in the sun. It's doing better. And there's another moringa down there. The one that's up in the sun is doing a little better, but you know, it does get the sun now, so it's not as important where I move it because the sun is moving and the sun's going to hit. This is south-facing wall. But that's it. I kind of wanted to show you what I was doing. See, I've been collecting everything. This is what's so wonderful when you're on a deck. I just cut everything up, and this is all going back into a pot. And I can fill this whole thing on the bottom of one of those floral pots or any container, and then top it with potting soil. If you do wood chips, you can top it with broken down wood chips. I brought these wood chips over, and it was full to the top. It was sitting on my deck, and I was using it little by little. And as I was using it today, I realized that as I got to the bottom looked better than, look at this. Let me see if I can get into the bottom. The bottom looks better than the potting soil I was using because it's already, look at this, all broken down just sitting here. Isn't that amazing? It just broke down just by sitting on the deck. I could theoretically on the bottom plant directly into it. So I'm amazed how fast wood chips will break down. And that goes with if you're collecting leaves or grass cuttings, they'll all break down. Because anything on the bottom, remember, this was full, anything on the bottom is breaking down right away. So that's what's so great. So am I going to continue my garden for the winter? Oh, you bet I am. This has been fantastic. I've got basil there. I've got lavender that needs to get into a pot. I've got sage growing, the tricolored sage, which is just beautiful. Now look at this. More tomatillos growing. I don't know why they're so late. And I've got a little tiny red Swiss chard coming up. So I can, and even in here where I've got a bare spot, I can put a pot there. Like if I could put a pot there and just sit it there and it will feed from whatever is breaking down in there. These on top, and I think you know that, this green one all the way to the other green one, the only thing that's in there is the breaking down leaves that I filled up in the very beginning, I guess 6 months ago or so. There's no compost in place unless it's got a container like this. Then it's collecting food from this. The plant food is coming out of that. Plant food is coming out of that little one. Plant food is coming, because it's a compost in place container. I have another way I do it too. Those are different. Those are buckets. Each one on each end has a bucket. One has a real teeny one down there. And you've seen this in the other videos. I'll try to remember to put the link. This is a compost. See, I just sat this here. That's what I was saying. I can just sit things here. This is a compost in place bucket. I take this off. I put in there. It feeds everything. That's how I got so much squash. Squash are heavy feeders. They need to have a constant supply of food. So if you're composting right in there where the squash is growing, it will take off. And that's probably why the Brad's did so well, because the Brad's tomato, atomic tomato, is growing right here. See, this is the trunk, and it's got its own compost container, and that's a 5-gallon bucket with just any lid I had with holes. And again, I've got the whole setup on a video. This has been fantastic. I just lift that off, fill it up, and close it back, and I don't have to buy plant food or anything. It works perfect for me. So it was kind of an update. It's raining today. Look at the sky. Can you believe this? Been trying to move hummingbird feeders and get some of them, out of the rain and make sure everything is covered and get enough feeders up so they do have a choice. And right now it's not raining, so they're feeding off everything. And then I've got mint going. I don't know if the mint will survive on the deck. Usually in the garden, the mint dies back. So that will be interesting, because there's chocolate mint here, and then there's orange mint. So this will be interesting to see what survives on the deck, because I did not have this here last year. There was nothing here last year. You watched me build this from scratch, and this has been a full garden. This could be a garden for a family of 5. It was, it's not going to feed everything, but just think of the produce you don't have to buy. Better yet, think of the produce you're buying that's so full of nutrients and vitamins. That's what's the most important thing to me, is to get live food in me. It doesn't all have to be live food. You don't have to be perfect. Believe you me, we are far from perfect. But the point is, I know every day I'm getting live food. Even if I don't make something from the garden, I can just pick a tomato off, eat it, and I'm getting all my enzymes and live food from what is growing on my deck or my garden. So I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover today. I'm slowly going through. See the lettuce seed? I just feel so bad because I want to collect a lot of it, but boy, the birds come and eat all that. But I have to collect at least an envelope full. Same thing with the parsley, because I want to continue to grow my own parsley. It grew here, it's happy, and lettuce and parsley are the easiest things to collect. So with that, that's my update. I see a lot of birds in the sky moving. They must know that storm is coming. It was raining earlier. It's not right now, but it's about ready to come in again. And I wanted to grab my camera and get out here. Look at this. I broke this. I was stringing it up and it cracked. But you know what? I have done this with tomato plants before. When I've cracked them, I've taped them back up with masking tape. This stuff does not break down masking tape, and it works. Remember, you can graft tomatoes. So if you crack one of your favorite plants, put a piece of masking tape around it if you don't want to cut it down, and see if it will take. I've done it all over my garden. Sometimes I bump into it, or the wind will knock it down, or it will snap. As long as it's still attached, A lot of times you can just put a little masking tape and it will keep growing. If not, then you trim it down or you take cuttings. Have a great day. And I can't believe the weather has changed, but that's okay. This is going to be fun to see what happens in my deck garden that anybody could have. Have a great day and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody. So there we are, 2 weeks later. I told you one egg made it. The other two disappeared, probably by hummingbirds. Hard to say, but he made it. He's hatched. And he's about 2 days old, 3 days old at the most. We saw him when he was really tiny, about 2-3 days ago. They double in size. In less than 2 weeks, he'll be a cocoon. And then not much time after that, he'll end up being a beautiful swallowtail. So that's the update as he devours the entire parsley plant. Have a great day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody. Don't you just love nature?